Welcome in to, I almost said the scoop around the loop. This is Thomas Talks on Thursday, and we have a very special guest. We have Andrew Springer, the man who got me into real estate, sold me the second house I ever bought, made it look so easy, made it look like so much fun. And today we are kind of sort of talking about our sphere of services. Andrew, we're both part of the Sphere Real Estate Group. You want to talk about our sphere of services and how we do real estate different?
Yeah, and you're actually not the first person that I've sold a house to, and they go, "Hey, this looks fun and easy," and you probably never have any hard days, do you? Uh, so, yeah, let's give a. I want to point out Thomas's shirt, the Springer Brothers, because that's kind of where this precipitated from. Is Tyler, my brother Springer, and I, we're the Springer Brothers. I had my Thomas and Tyler got their license within a month of each other, I think, roughly.
Tyler got his in like May. I got mine in June, right?
Yeah, something like that. So, uh, you know, so Tyler and I were Springer Brothers. We kind of have, and you, Thomas, as well. We've always been really customer service oriented and focused. Like, we're not house sales people. And when I tell people that, they're like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, you're a realtor. Like, I've never sold a house to anybody. Once they're working with me, like my sales pitch, like that's my sales pitch is work with me. But we're going to guide you home. Like, we're advisors along the way on your journey. Because the second I sell you if I'm selling you a house, the second something goes wrong with it, you're like, dang it, that guy sucked. And so, we're just going to remind you, hey, you said you wanted a 4-bedroom. This is only a 3-bedroom. You wanted to be on this part of town or close to this, amenity, and it's nowhere near that. Just we're pointing that out. And so, we're just advisors. So I say all that to say, like, for as, strong of a brand as I think the Springer Brothers real estate team is, I've been recognized, our logo's been recognized in St. Louis, Missouri, for example, of all places. And so with that said, like, I think it was still kind of hard to get other agents to want to link up with us because it's such a gender specific name and a family name. My sister was like, when we started Sphere, my sister was like, "What happened to the Springer Brothers?" And my brother's like, "You're literally staring at us. Still exist." But the Sphere Real Estate Group's, I think, a bigger picture. And so I was literally sitting in an open house trying to come up with an idea, like a new name, because we'd been talking about this with Carly Pearson for a while. What would we be called? Something that was like all encompassing. And there was a sphere sitting on a table. And I was like, Sphere. And there's some fun things with it. Sphere ends in RE, so Sphere Real Estate. It starts with an S and a P. There's Springer and Pearson, Carly Pearson and the Springer Brothers. So there's some hidden kind of Easter eggs in the name itself. But at the end of the day, like, we're all encompassing, and that's what we want to be. I think a lot of people, this is a really long-winded answer or response to your statement, but at the end of the day, like, in the industry we're in, the stuff that we see with brokerages or we've seen in recent years has been a race, what I call a race to the bottom. Everyone just says, how cheap can I go? How cheap can I get? And in exchange for that, you sacrifice service. And so people will pay, a very small broker fee or, listing fee and be disappointed when they realize that, oh, my agent's not doing open houses. Oh, my agent's not around. My agent's not even available to write a listing description. And the reality is that they got to move on to the next thing, because your couple $1,000 fee to them really doesn't pay for much. And so they're on to the next thing. Whereas we wanted to go the other direction and really kind of take control of the whole process for our sellers and make it easier, eliminate those pain points. And, we're not cheap. We're not a broker. We're not a discount brokerage. But I think when you work with us, you experience the value that we bring. And so, part of that is we wanted a team. It's hard to do this with two people, to do all the things that we try to accomplish. And we wanted to put together a group of like-minded agents, like-minded individuals who shared in our values, shared in our ethics, and then shared in the drive, the work ethic to want to deliver for people. So that's how Sphere came along. And the idea is that, we used to be at a brokerage that talked about being full service, but it was like they had the title company in house, they had the lender in house, lender that was, way higher interest rate, mind you. They had closing in house, and like that was their idea of being full service, which, sounds great, but you're still paying for those fees. They weren't free.
Well, and I would point out too, like a lot of that stuff that they considered full service and is really, really nice. It's more so really, really nice for your agent than it is for the client specifically.
Yeah, and for the broker, it's nice. Yeah. They can streamline things, which is, efficiency, I'm all for. But, in my experience, we work with some of the best, closing agents,
best I've ever worked with. And I've been at 4 brokerages. So,
and so like we don't, like those things I don't think matter to the consumer. What matters to the consumer is, how do I get, this carpet replaced? How do I get rid of all this junk that's in my garage? Well, luckily, where Tyler and I, for example, weren't blessed with handyman skills, we were blessed with the ability to carry stuff. Lift stuff. And I don't know how many times, like Thomas has helped us on deals. To Thomas's credit, and this is like a credit to, I think, just a testament to our team. People show up to help each other when they're not even getting paid, like when they don't have skin in the game. We're all about raising the level for everybody. Like I may be getting paid on this deal and Thomas is helping me, but I know Thomas knows that he's going to get paid on this deal and we're going to help him. And that like we truly are, I think, in lockstep with each other. And and I think as a seller, you want to be able to work with, I think, a team too, because, if I'm not around to do an open house, we've got, you got other people to do it too, and so that's a very kind of a broad stroke introduction to Sphere.
Yeah. So what I was planning on doing this episode, and I brought Andrew on because this was kind of a vision me, Andrew, and Tyler have had since back when it was just us three. But I wanted to go through the 5 biggest pain points that I see sellers go through and talk about ways that we've helped sellers before, just to show you. And this isn't everything that we do, because we've done a lot of different unique things for sellers, and it all just depends on what the seller needs, that we think we have a resource to help them out. But yeah, like Andrew said, we're at 8 strong now, and all 8 of us, I feel like, have more of that customer service mindset than they do that sales mindset. And it's 8 people that aren't afraid to help each other out, because they know that the more good you put out into the universe, the more good you put back, like you get back. And that's just a fact. And I know people watching this might think we're BSing. Go ahead and work with us and just see what we're talking about, because it's not an act. We're not here to twist your arm and have you write on something that isn't genuinely a good fit for you. That's just not the way it works. Des Moines is way too small of a town. That's how you get a bad reputation, and that's how you get people not wanting to work with you 2 or 3 years later. We know that if we give good service, you will return to us, and that is our goal, is for you to use us again and refer us to your friends and family, because that's all of our agents. That's basically what our business is built on. We're not using Zillow. We're not using pay-per-click ads. We're not trying to burn through transactions quickly. We're trying to build relationships. So what do you think I put down as the biggest annoyance of selling a house?
Well, I would say just it not being, show ready, so I like to say and I think we'll probably get into our partnerships here, but from consult to closing, we've got somebody to help you.
Yeah.
Whether
Yes. I put decluttering first.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so whether it's me or you're working with Thomas and it's Thomas or one of our partners, like there's somebody, we've got somebody to help you. And I think the biggest asset or the biggest tool that you get when you work with us is access to our Rolodex, our partners who we've built relationships with, because to Thomas's point, it's a small town, and word gets out, but people want to work with people they trust. And so we don't recommend people because we get a kickback or anything like that. We recommend people because those are people that we trust to take care of the people we're recommending. And so that's that's all we ask of the people that provide the service is just take care of our people. And that's all we need. But to Thomas's, point about decluttering, there's a few ways that, it is annoying, especially if you haven't moved in a while, because you're in your house, you're living in it, most people, I think realtors are probably the exception to the rule. Most people aren't thinking about how would this show in 15 minutes. They're like, hey, I want to live here. And so you have tons of pictures, you have all the furniture. You just want those huge lazy boy recliners, and it doesn't matter that they don't match. It doesn't matter that they're, that it's taking up a lot of room. Like it's comfortable. It's how you want to live. And so then when, you list, you got to start paring that stuff down. And so I think that's where we can really help. I think that's where honestly our biggest advantages is that we can move the stuff. Do you need a storage unit? Like we've got them. We don't charge for it. We have a storage unit right now. I think it has 3 different clients' things in it. And in fact, one of them, they told me the other day, he's like, actually just get rid of it. Like we don't even want them. And so we're going to get them. And it can be anything from, Christmas decoration. That's what some of it is right now, because there's a lot of Christmas decorations. It takes up a lot of room in a storage room. And so it's like those aren't immediate things you need right now. And so like, let us take that stuff away from you so that you can get your house ready. You need a dumpster. My brother and I have a cousin who, John at Iowa CTS Cleaners, he has access, he has dumpsters on his premises. And so he'll deliver us deliver a dumpster wherever we need it to go, at a discounted rate, because we're family. And then all the seller has to do is pay at closing for that. And
the ozone machine too.
Yeah. In fact, we're probably going to buy one at this point. We've used it so much. That's another thing, is an ozone machine. I know, Thomas, you recently used it at a home that your buyers purchased.
Yep.
We've used it for rentals, to get, spice smell out. We've used it in homes to get smoke. We had a listing in West Des Moines where the current owners had never smoked in it. They lived there for like 6 years, never smoked. They've painted everything. They put new carpet in, and it still had like a very faint cigarette smell, and they could not figure out how to get rid of it. Well, they moved, so it was vacant. I went over on a like 8 a.m. on a Thursday morning or something like that, on some random day. Set it up. My wife and I and the kids went to the pumpkin patch that day, and then so came back at 5 p.m. And it was the smell was completely gone. And in fact, an agent who had shown it prior, when he had showed it prior, it noted a smoke smell. And when he came back again, he's like, the smoke smell is gone. Like, what'd you do? And it just made it that much more sellable. And whether it's pet odor, cigarette smoke, cooking,
even if it's just that, like that vacant, like, how sometimes vacant homes just get
kind
that
of a musty smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like, we just like like that's not a service that we charge for. Like it's going to make it easier to sell your house. And at the end, and that's why we don't give discounts, because at the end of the day, like our entire goal is to make you more money.
Yeah, and we want to have these things in our Rolodex to offer you.
Yep.
Because one, we want to make sure your home's presented as well as possible, and we want the eyeballs that we do get through our marketing, which we're not even covering in this video. We should do another video about all the different types of marketing we do. But we're doing this marketing to get people in the house. Once they're in the house, we want it to be presented as well as possible so we get the best offer. Is essentially the goal. And we want to make it as stress-free as possible. I think the only thing, professional cleaners, we have, I mean, how many different professional cleaners that we reach out to when we need help? I mean, we have quite.
And that's something too, you know, like we'll put money towards that. We've kind of, that's one of the things we've kind of like honed in on a little bit is like, look, if your house is extra dirty and it's going to require like a whole day of cleaning, we'll help pay for that. But we're not going to pay for the whole thing. And quite honestly, you know, like we've been stuck with an $800 bill before. We're like, oh, shoot, I was just trying to do something nice. And you know, part of that was because of the, you know, the overall
how much time it took
of the home.
Yeah.
So what we do instead is we say, hey, we'll put a, you know, it doesn't have to be our cleaner. If you have a cleaner you want to use, like, great. You know, we'll give you a credit towards that. And if they're there longer, you know, than a few hours, then you're going to pay the difference. And honestly, I think that kind of, you know, makes the sellers pay a little more attention to, you know, how they clean, because they, you know, you probably don't want to pay $400-$500 for a cleaner. And so you're going to make sure that, you know, some of the things are clean before, you know, our cleaner gets there. But to Thomas's point, yeah, we've got professional cleaners, and we have people on our team that just, they actually like to clean. And so we can send them in and you know, ahead of time to get it ready for, and we usually do it just like right before we list it. So that it's as close to, you know, that nice clean smell at the first showing as we can get.
So I don't know if this necessarily falls into our sphere of services, but I think it's something that we should talk about, because in our meeting on Tuesday, you brought up a graphic, and I think it essentially showed that we're better at this than a lot of other agents. But pricing, I feel like sellers get stressed out about this. I mean, it's kind of the Goldilocks of like, I don't want to list it so low that I feel like I missed out on money, but then the second you list it too high, the home sits on the market forever. So it's kind of a stressful decision picking that initial price. And you might have to help me out here. We're better than average as far as getting sellers their percentage of list price.
Oh,
correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the overall industry right now, the last 6 months, so for the first 6 months of the year, 90, I think the MLS average, and mind you, that has our figures in it too. But the MLS average was 96.1% from initial list price to final purchase price. We are at 96.5, I believe. So we're not perfect at, you know, finding that perfect price. Some of that relies, you know, some of that depends on the sellers too.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to say that. Yeah. Because ultimately the list price is the seller's decision. Like, you know, so
we try to lead sellers to where we think the market is. And it's been a weird market, to be honest with you, because we've listed houses that we think will sell right away, and then they sit, and then we list houses that are like, okay, this will be on the market for a while. And then they sell on the first showing, you know, and it's been kind of wonky like that. So we kind of were like, as a team, we're like, man, what are we doing wrong? But then you look at all of the numbers across the MLS, like, actually, we're doing better than others. So, you know, our average sale price is higher than the MLS average as well by quite a bit. And then our days on market are about a month less than the average closing this year. So, I think where you're going with that is to say, like, the things that we put into this pay off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think the sphere of services that we do help homes sell for more. and they help homes sell quicker. I mean, that average days on market statistic, that's a really good number. Like to be 30 days lower, I mean, that's and I'll tell you this, at least I can say it for I'm not sitting here rejecting owners because I think they have homes that are going to sit on the market forever. Like I'm taking everything. I want to help everyone.
Yep.
Even if it's like a beat down home that needs a ton of work, I'm going to market the crap out of it and we're going to sell it quickly. Or if it's the perfect house, I'm going to take that one as well too. We're not afraid to market anything. And I feel like some of those statistics just point out, one, our marketing that we put in. And I mean, if I ever have any doubts about the price I'm about to list a home at, I have 7 other agents on the team that can give extra price opinions to make sure I feel super solid about it, whether I think I'm listing it too low or think I'm listing it too high. And I mean, a lot of us have a really good amount of experience right now too. So it's not like I'm just sitting there with a bunch of newbies, like trying to figure it out. Like,
yeah. Well, and I think too, like when Tyler and I will list a house, and for those who aren't listening, like Tyler and I split everything. So we're involved together with all of our deals, but we'll kind of price things individually. And sometimes we'll ask Thomas, what do you think of this? And vice versa. Or the three of us, might be on a deal together and we all kind of, it's always nice when we kind of all arrive at the same conclusion, but it's not always blaringly obvious what the price should be. And sometimes, you trust your gut. We've been doing this long enough that I think this is where it lands, but you always want to try to maybe get a little more. And I think if anyone can squeeze the juice out of the fruit the most, it's us. But it's not like a Kelley Blue Book where it's like, well, this is a 98 two-story home built 98 between these streets. This is what the price is. Like every single piece of real estate's unique because it's different. You might have two-story houses, but one might have new HVAC, the other doesn't. You might have one that doesn't, has new siding, and like those things in and of themselves don't add value to a house. But when you're comparing them to others, it can make a difference. And so there's no two same ways to price a house. Sometimes it's a matter of what's on the market and what's not on the market. Like where's a range that nothing exists in? Is that, can we slide it in there? At the end of the day, your house is only worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So we got to figure out quick what someone's willing to pay for it, and then be willing. The seller, not up to us. The seller has to be willing to, listen to the market. We're just going to tell the seller what the market's saying. But,
yeah. And every seller situation is different too. Like, I mean,
every motivation's different.
Right. We've given sellers ranges before, and they've told us, hey, the only price that really makes sense at is at the top of this range. And we say, okay, well, we're going to list it and sell it to the best of our ability. And sometimes it's a townhome that we sell it for more than any other townhome has sold in that development. So
just recently.
Yeah. And I got another one closing that it's going to be something similar. So sometimes stuff like that is possible. It's a little bit of science. It's a little bit of art, but on the
side. But I think to that end, like I've said it since I had coffee with a guy once, and he goes, I need someone that's more than just a guy that opens the door, because he felt like that was what his agent was years ago. And I've always tried to be somebody as a buyer's agent, someone that's more than the guy that gets the key out of the lockbox. As a seller's, as a listing agent, we've always tried to be people that are more than just guys that plant the sign in the yard. Mm-hmm. And then you don't talk to them again, and then they say, 30 to 60 days later, they say, oh, looks like we're priced too high. Let's, and that's the only marketing, only communication they do. Like we've tried to be, I can't sleep well, not ever trying. And so maybe one day we'll be so busy that it is what it is, as it is. We got plenty of, we have plenty of bandwidth still with our team. So,
I was just talking to Matt about this when he was on the live stream 2 weeks ago. And his home went through 2 price decreases, and I was talking about just like what you said about not being able to sleep at night. Like, I feel terrible asking a seller for a price decrease when I feel like I haven't done as much marketing as possible just to exhaust all resources and make sure that there's not a buyer out there for it at this price.
Yeah, because when you ask a seller to decrease a price, like $5,000, for example, doesn't change much for a buyer's payment, but that's a lot of money out of a seller's pocket. It also means less money for me as the agent because that's a lower percentage. The commission percentage then is based on a lower amount. And so like the price reductions aren't like our first arrow in the quiver in terms of, weapons to use to sell a house or tools to sell a house. But it is something that, if we ask to do it, it's not because we haven't tried other things, so.
Yeah. So for me personally, this is the most stressful part of the sale.
Hold on a second. Sydney.
Yeah.
Sydney's here. Speaking
Is
of
Sydney going to pop on?
What?
I'm on a podcast with Tommy. Tell hi to everybody.
Hi.
Everybody. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
So for me, the most stressful part is the inspection period. And I feel like that's the most stressful part for the sellers as well.
Yeah.
Because you've got the deal, you got an agreed upon number. Now all it lays on is how the inspection goes and what they're going to request for it to be fixed. So you want to talk about different ways we've helped out sellers in the past for inspection stuff.
Yeah. So I think one of the best things we can do, like offer to people to your point, great. You have your house under contract. Now we wait for the inspection because almost every single purchase agreement has an inspection contingency in it. And that is the out for the buyer. Not that you ever enter into a contract with the intention of getting out of it, but feelings change, emotions change, things can show up on an inspection that might spook a buyer. And so, and the seller has no idea, that's on there. They have the best of intentions. They're not trying to hide that their electrical panel has issues with some breakers. Like they don't know, like the average person doesn't get into their breaker panel maybe ever. And so what we do, and I'll finish that thought is, okay, so you go through your inspection and you find, there's $1,200 worth of electrical work that needs done. A new water heater needs to be replaced, so there's $1,300 if you use her plumbing, and maybe some structural things. Well, so now you're maybe $3,000 to $5,000 in cost to get this deal done. And if you don't do this for this buyer, mind you, these are things that probably show up on the next inspection as well. So that's all money that's coming out of your bottom dollar, out of your purchase agreement price. And so what we do is ahead of time, we offer it up, a pre-listing inspection. Some sellers have chosen not to do it because we don't want to know what's on there, and don't want to have to disclose things that, we don't know right now, but then might know, but don't want to fix. And so that's, that's reasonable. But for the most part, a seller will take advantage of this. And the key is that we have time to do it. If you're calling us on a Monday, hey, I need to sell my house. I need to list my house Wednesday. Well, that's not even reasonable, like to get it, one, inspected, and two, get the stuff fixed. But when you do it that way, A, what's coming up, and B, you can fix it. And if it is $3,000, $5,000, $7,000, we're added to the list price. And so you're not working down, you're moving up, and then all that stuff's fixed and taken care of. And every inspection is different. So certain inspectors find certain things that others miss. I've found that to be true because we've done pre-listing inspections where we had the report and then the buyer does their own inspection and we're cross-referencing We're like, oh, they didn't even catch that, and ours didn't catch this one, and so it does happen, but we at least know the big things that are going to get asked, or
Yeah.
could pop up, and so it just eliminates the pain point of waiting and stress and all that. So that's I think the biggest thing. Or you can just, as a seller, say, you know what, like I know that's going to come up now, and we'll just offer a credit for it because I don't want to fix it.
Yeah.
And again, you kind of have that factored into your price. So I just like the approach of working, adding it in on the front end instead of having to take it off on the back end.
Yeah. Well, and it some of the most successful sales I've had have been ones that they did the pre-listing inspection. And we've shared them with potential buyers. And because we shared it, we say, hey, this is already disclosed. You could do your own separate inspection if you want. But if you want some of the things pointed out on this inspection, you should ask for the repair now with offer as opposed to in the inspection period. Then the seller's sitting back and they say, the only thing we have to worry about is this inspector finding something that wasn't on that first inspection report.
Yeah. And I maybe this is a good transition. I don't know. But along that line, let's say you're doing some stuff and now you got to do a bunch of plumbing work or a bunch of electrical work or, whatever it is. We have partners that'll do the work and just wait till closing to collect. Like that's what's amazing is we've partnered with HVAC companies, a flooring company, cabinetry company, remodel company, design company, to essentially say, hey, like if this work needs done, we'll do it and we'll wait. Not because like they have no disillusionment of risk. It's because of our relationship with them, that they trust us and anyone that we're going to work with. We're kind of the vetting mechanism for them. And they're not going to run credit. They're not going to, ask for most likely cash up front, depending on your equity position. And I'll touch on that in a second. But, these things have come up where you're like, well, dang it, I didn't want to put $2,000 into this house, but I need this done now. They'll just wait till closing to pay for it, as long as we have some sort of listing agreement that they can say, okay, like we know there's an end in sight. I mentioned the no credit check. Why is that important? Because if you're selling your house to buy a house, putting something on credit or even doing a credit check could hurt your ability to borrow for your new house. I mean, maybe it knocks you down some credit points, and now that messes with your rate and it ends up costing you thousands of more dollars. If you're working with us, that's the credit check. And the spigot's wide open right now. So take advantage of what, our partners are willing to do. Going back to the equity position, if you're listing your house for $300,000 and you have $150,000 left on your balance and you just want new carpet, that's not something we have to run through a title search. That's something they're going to have to require a down payment on. That's because you have strong equity. If we're $400,000 list price and you owe $380,000, it probably ain't going to work, without some money out of pocket. But at the end of the day, for the most part, the sellers we work with have equity. That's not to say that's our prerequisite to work with us, but that's just, I think the average seller has equity in their house that can cover some of these things. Then you don't have to come out of pocket, and you're really not thinking about that money at all because you don't write a check for it. And it just gets all paid out of closings. Our closer will write the check to ABC company for that work. And in addition to that, none of these companies that we work with are doing shoddy work.
Right.
Like they're doing good work. They're highly respected, and they want to get paid as well. So they want their work to show in this house. So now you've got a contractor that's vested. You've got a seller that's invested. You have an agent now that has a skin in the game to make this deal work. And so you have many people trying to sell your house. You know,
Yeah.
you have the contractor sharing that post online because they need that house to sell too. So we just get, you know, the more people you kind of get entangled in the process, the more people you have pushing you to the finish line. So,
And we're not gonna. I feel like all the agents on our team are good enough that we're not going to bring up projects that are actually going to get you an ROI, like
right.
the carpet, the paint, fixing inspection issues that we know are going to come up. That's stuff that we know is going to help your house either
Sell. Yeah.
sell for more, sell quicker, you know, less stress free. We're not going to have you throw $20,000 in to do a full kitchen remodel when you're not necessarily going to get dollar for dollar back.
Yeah, even carpet may not have an ROI, but you need the carpet to sell the house.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the same thing with car brakes. Like just because you just put $2,000 worth of work into your brakes doesn't mean your car is worth now $2,000 when you go to sell it.
Yeah.
But you need the brakes to sell the car. You need the carpet to sell the house. Like no one wants a pea stained carpet, you know, they're going to bring their little kids on. So they want it done. You know, and quite honestly, like we see it all the time. We see it in listing descriptions. We've offered it before where a seller will say, hey, I'll give you $5,000 for a carpet allowance. Like that's great, but I don't want to have to do it. And so sometimes if you just have it done, you know, a neutral color, again, done by quality people, the buyers will appreciate that it's done. And you're not having, as a seller or a homeowner, you're not having to write the check right there on the spot. And it's again collected on the back end. So it's going to help you get your home sold for top dollar. It's going to help just take away, again, the key phrase today is pain point. Take away those pain points. That's why we exist.
Yeah. These next two that I have, there isn't really like hard and fast services that I can attach to these to say, yeah, like this is a thing like that. But I think it's things that I want to point out, just to point out that these are things I feel like Sphere does differently. I think a lot of our people on our team are really good at negotiations, and it's very rare on our team that we don't have a contract get to closing.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about some of the things that we're good at doing with that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we were talking originally about forming this group, Elite Real Estate Group was one that came to mind. And Thomas always calls me an elitist because I didn't think he could handle a quartz countertop in his kitchen.
I didn't buy the house with the quartz countertop, so
yeah, but you know, I thought Elite was maybe a little heavy-handed. But I will say Elite. Well, I think we are elite negotiators, and you know, it's not always about the money. It's not always about the price. There's other things that goes into it. You know, how can we take away work for the side we're representing? Because you know, we're gonna do the best for our side. You know, we try to create wins for everybody. To Thomas's point, again, it's a small town. Like we're not trying to rip people off at all. But if you work with us, like you get our best. And so, just recently, like this is not talking from a listing side, but a buy side. We sent an offer over to the other side, and it was a good offer. It wasn't full price, but it was a fair offer. It had, you know, the only thing that wasn't immediately acceptable was the price, but we had everything else in there, you know, no inspection, quick close, all that stuff. And the agent said, well, I'm going to, you know, we'll get back to you tomorrow. And I said, well, it expires tonight. So if we're having to write again tomorrow, the offer goes down, the offer changes, because a couple of things. One, I know there's not another offer at that point. The seller's now lost some ground. And two, like my buyer wants the house. So you need to respond now. We've sent you something very clean. And, you know, an hour later, we get a response and we get the deal done that day or that night. And so I think you just have to know, you know, what levers to pull and when to pull them. And, you know, that we've done this enough. We kind of know. And then also I think there's like this old school mentality still, like think back to like our, you know, grandparents, you know, like the squeaky wheel or the squeaky wheel got the oil, like if you raise your voice the loudest, you'll get heard. We don't operate that way. Like we operate from, it's not always like the right and the wrong, or the legal and the not legal. I mean, I think in terms of this conversation, it's the legal, but sometimes it's not. When it comes to negotiation, it's just graciousness and kindness.
Mhm.
And I think we're firm in what we believe. We're firm in our convictions, but we can be kind about it. We don't have to be pricks, for lack of a better word. We don't have to be, hard about our position. We can approach it with generosity and kindness. Like generosity, in terms of thank you for your time, and not. And understand that, hey, like we're sending you this offer, or like we'll accept this offer on, these conditions, like we'll work with you, but you got to work with us. And so that can go from initial offer that all the way down to through inspection. And then, getting to closing. We had a hiccup yesterday on a walkthrough with a couple things. And it wasn't a matter of like, well, I think your people are being ridiculous, or vice versa. It's like, what do we got to do to get it done? And we got it done. And so everybody's happy. And it just requires, a little bit of a lot of being willing to go with the flow, and recognize, I think at the end of the day, our goal is always to get to close. And we remind our clients of that, get to close. I mentioned earlier that the sellers aren't trying to always rip buyers off. I think some people go to the victim mentality a little too quick sometimes. Like everyone's looking out for themselves, but not everybody's malicious. Not everybody's sinister in their agenda. And I think just having that mentality, and again, I think from the perspective of, you may not like how, this looks right now, or, the stress you feel in this moment. But I always think to like, remember, how like fun it is at Thanksgiving? You have food, you have the parade, you have football, all those things, you're with family. You won't be thinking about this day on Thanksgiving,
Right.
Or Christmas. Like it's just the big picture. Like, let's get to closing. And, but going back to being salesmen, if I just make you sign that closing doc, and say, oh, it'll be fine, and then it's not fine, guess who you're never calling again? And I can't sleep well with that. I know no one else on our team, I know it wouldn't sleep well. They, you have that pit in your stomach, like, oh man, I just screwed that person, or they feel like I screwed them, and like that's just not how we operate, because they may never buy a house ever again, or sell a house ever again. But this is what we do every day. And so it's important to us that we do everything the right way, because we're still going to be here. Like this is, I don't know what else I would do, honestly, if I stopped selling real estate at this point.
I have no other options right now.
I don't think I can move. Like, where would I, like this is so hyper local. So anyways.
The last thing I'll point out with this too, and I've mentioned it multiple times, but this is a small town. And anyone that's dealt with us before, done transactions with us, and seen how pleasant and easy we are to work with, the other agent on the other side is probably having a good time working with us as well too. And I feel like that really helps when transactions start to get sticky for whatever reason. If there was an issue at final walkthrough, can't come to terms on inspection, anything like that, we more than likely have an agent on the other side that is enjoying working with us and wants to get it.
Yeah, and that's absolutely not hyperbole at all. Like we have won deals, multiple offer situations, because the agent has said, hey, like I told them, like, you're the one that can get this done. Like, we're not the one yelling fire in a crowded room. Like we're here for peace. We're not trying to pressure anybody into anything. And so like we absolutely have won deals because we have proven time and time again that we're good agents, and not just not just people who have effective marketing that people will call us and list their house with us, but agents trust us to get to closing. And I don't know how many, like, it's easy to say, so you just got to take my word for it, but I don't know how many times an agent has messaged me and said, oh my gosh, like, you were the easiest person to work with, or like, this was great, let's do it again.
I mean, I've had other
and
agents.
I'm not saying I'm like the only one in town, or you
Right.
know, like that.
There's lots of great agents in town. I've had agents write reviews for me on my Google page.
I had a
How
buyer.
easy I was to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a buyer of a house we had listed write a review for me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't, like, out of nowhere, because they just felt like we had
I'm pretty
such
sure that buyer chose you guys as the list agent when it came time to sell their house too.
Oh, that's another time. So I've had that happen a couple of times. One, he was like, hey, my agent's great, but I just want people to know Andrew's amazing. And so every time. Yeah, there was another time to that point where I helped, just because I felt it was the right thing to do. I helped a buyer move into our listing, like help them unload their truck. There was a lot of things going on with that, but I didn't think anything of it. They said, hey, we appreciate it. I wasn't trying to steal them. I was just trying to help them unload their truck so they could get it back. In fact, their agent was on the truck, or like on the side of the truck. And so I had absolutely zero intentions of ever
doing a good thing.
Like, we were buying a house that day. Like, I wasn't expecting them to sell their house, you know, like in a year or two later, they email us, me and my brother, and say, hey, like, I remember that. And we always said, if we'd ever sell, it'd be you. And because of that. And then when they moved again, so we sold their house. They used us to list their house and buy another. And then I thought, like, do I have to help them move now? Cause did I said it? But it's great people. And so again, like, I think the reviews speak for themselves, that we know how to get to closing. Yeah, to Thomas's point, like you, me, Tyler, Thomas, Carly, I'll name everybody, Steven, Katie, Sydney, Danny. You work with any of us and you're going to get people who are committed to the cause, committed to closing, committed to building their brand. And you don't build a brand on bad service. So,
right.
I'll change, Dollar General exists, but with the exception of things like that. So
this last one is kind of sort of more of a call to action to people thinking about selling. But I think this is a way we could decrease stress too, is just because we've done this so many times and because we have these resources, you guys should reach out to us as soon as possible so we can start clearing up the timeline. And the more time we have to make that timeline clear, we could do things more efficiently and make this as stress-free as possible. Because the easiest way to stress yourself out is, like Andrew said, call us on a Sunday night and say, hey, we want to be listed by next weekend. That's when it's like, okay, let's declutter in 1 week. Let's get listing photos. Let's get video done. Let's get direct mail set up. We got to write list. We got to do all the listing paper. There's just a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and we have to get a price opinion. But if you reach out to us 3 or 4 months ahead of time, heck, I mean, we've even had people reach out to us a year ahead of time. Then it's like, hey, you have time to do this. We could take photos of the exterior photos at the perfect time of year. There's so many creative things we could do if we have more time. Did you want to talk about?
Yeah, and I think that's a real, mind you, like, someone calls me Sunday, we got a list Tuesday, and the house is sold on Wednesday. Like, I love that too. But more times than not, someone's not truly ready to list their house in a couple of days. I do think quick sales are a testament to the work that's done ahead of time, or, way before we list. I think it's one of the, people think I get into our industry because they think, oh, I love that paycheck. Yeah, but it is nice when it comes, but it takes time to get there. A very real example of this was somebody called me once, and it was like April or May, and it was a few years ago. Called me to say, hey, like, I got your name from a person who's a past client of mine, and we're looking to move out of state. Can you come look at our house tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, okay. When are you guys thinking about moving? Next year. Again, it was April. April-ish, something like that. I'm like, why am I coming? Why do I have to go over tomorrow? But time flew. I did go over, the next day or something, like it was a couple of days maybe. Went over all the things. I said, here's the things I would improve on your house. I remember the electrical panel was iffy. I mean, they did everything I recommended to them, and they needed the time to do it. And it came time to list their house. They moved out. They even put new carpet in once they left because they had cats, and they're like, we just think it's going to sell better with carpet. This was before we had this partnership, so like they paid for that. But we're putting the sign in the yard, and a neighbor sees it, or a girl's at her parents' house who's a neighbor, and she calls her agent. The agent calls me. I haven't even listed it yet. 10 minutes later, they're looking at the house. Hour later, we have an offer full price because it was ready to go. And again, like it was several years, several months of getting it there. Okay, yeah, that sold in 10 minutes must be nice. Well, it sold in 8 months, really, because of all the work we put in. We collectively, the seller, the time I took to kind of connect them to people, to show them what to do, to talk through that stuff, took time. And we had it cleaned beforehand too. That helped. And so, timeline's important. I think the hardest part about this job is when a seller comes to us and says, here's the jigsaw puzzle, put it together. And we don't have time to show them the picture. Because I think if we have time to put the puzzle together, sellers are a lot more happy with the picture they get. And so like we can set expectations a little better. But that's I think the biggest thing is time. It's not just, it's hard to time the market, but like if you give us time to get your house ready, again, connecting you with people along the way that can help you, or just, even knowing that you're going to sell and here's the price we think we're going to be at, and letting people in our network know, hey, in our agent network, we've got people that are going to sell. Here's their house. Here's the price. They might have people looking already, or that maybe are like, hey, like in 4 months, I want to move. Well, cool. In 4 months, we're going to list this house. And so you can get, an offer without it having to go to market. And I can tell you from experience, if you get an offer, don't let it walk away unless it's just a trophy. That's the best place to be. You don't have to do showings. That's the hard part too, is, you get just one showing, 2 showings, cool, 20 showings, not so cool. And so if you can avoid all that, that's great. And again, to the timeline, we had a lender stop in our office the other day and talk to our team, and it had never really dawned on me, until he started talking. And I don't know if you remember this, I pointed this out, is, an FHA loan opens up the spigot to so many more buyers. You may not be qualified for a regular conventional loan because of their credit score, because maybe their debt to income ratio, but it costs more money for an FHA loan. And if you're thinking that, you want to buy in 6 months, a year, talk to us now so we can get you connected to people who, like, yes, you in 6 months you could get a loan, but if it's FHA, which might also limit you on what homes you can buy because of certain appraisal requirements, you might be paying a lot more than you think. And just by talking to somebody right now, we can get you lined up. Running your credit, it pings you maybe 5 to 10 points. And if that knocks you out of being able to buy a house, you're not able to buy a house. You're not really ready to buy a house right now. But, that 5 to 10 point ping, you'll make up in the time to get you back ready. And then you can save, literally tens of thousands of dollars over the life of your loan in interest, because you got your stuff squared away. You got some debts paid down, or, the lender said, hey, don't pay this, pay this. We'll take care of this at closing. And just come up with a plan that can save you money and help you execute on your goals. So whether you're selling a house or buying a house, like I said, I would love it if everyone that called me was writing an offer tomorrow or selling their house. We had their house sold tomorrow. because I do like the certainty of that, knowing that when that check's coming in. However, it rarely works that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so the longer you allow us to help you put that puzzle together, I think the happier you'll be. So please, if you're on Zillow right now or at night and you're looking at houses and you haven't talked to a realtor, talk to us, and do not click contact agent, because that's going to be someone that paid for that spot, not somebody that
Well,
knows anything
that's
about.
more than likely that's going to be someone that is dying to get you to write a contract right now, and that's just not how
Talk about high stress, high pressure.
Yeah, that's just not something we do. Obviously, once someone tells me what they're looking for, like, I get really, really excited and start sending you options and want to go show you houses. But at the same time, I'm not going to force feed you. I want to make sure it's a fit timeline wise and house wise.
So. Yeah, I mean, we'll go your speed.
Yeah.
Back to my point about not selling houses, like we go your speed. If you are ready to list your house tomorrow, okay, we'll get it listed tomorrow. If you need a little time, if you tell us the date's August 1st, when we get closer to August 1st, we'll say, are you still ready? Or we'll say, hey, we're listing at August 1st. And maybe that gives you the motivation you need to get ready. But we go your speed, and we've got a lot of tools to help you have the endurance to get there. So, in a nutshell, I think that's what makes the Sphere Real Estate Group different. Everything we do is a different way to real estate.
Yeah.
You use real estate to make you money. We can help you do it.
We did, last thing, because I don't want to take up too much more of your time. We did get one question as we were live streaming, and I feel like we kind of answered it, but my cousin Chris asked about helping people do repairs and stuff like that. And we kind of answered this a little bit, but do you want to kind of clarify our stance on, do you think it's better to do some of those fixes up before listing, or are you more of a fan of listing the home as is, current condition? Don't make it.
I think you price it accordingly.
Yeah.
So there's that. But I think psychologically, if a buyer's walking through a house and they see a bunch of stuff that needs to be repaired, even if you've priced it accordingly, what goes to the mind of the buyer is, what else is wrong with this house? You live in the house hard. They think, well, did they take care of the furnace? Were they keeping water, away from the house? Like, were they paying attention to things? So I think my go-to is always, let's get it fixed, so that the buyers aren't seeing the things that are wrong with the house. We want to showcase the good things about the house. So my recommendation is always to get it fixed. Sometimes you're just not able to. Things change, things happen in your life. You got to move away for a job. So you're not, and you need to move quickly on getting it listed. Things happen. But if given given time, I would recommend getting it repaired. And if, again, you need handymen, you need contractors or subs to do this work, like, we've got them. So never let that stop you from getting your house fixed because you don't know somebody. You know us. So we'll connect the dots.
Sweet. Well, thank you, Andrew. And then if anyone is watching this later, don't be afraid to reach out or comment with what you think I should talk about next week, or if you have any questions about buying or selling, we are here to help. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and thank you.